responsibility to provide our next generation with the guidance, the fortitude, the strength, the community, and knowledge that they need to succeed.
We gotta cancel culture, change the way our kids are thinking. Think about the pain and anguish we can save next generation. Break the cycle, no administration, replacing anger with contemplation. Gotta teach them how to use their minds. Remind our kids they born divine. With a right to be, with a right to live, with a right to be exactly.
Welcome back, parents and non-parents and just followers, subscribers, people that are interested in this particular book. Anger Management for Parents. It's Not the Kids, It's You, written by Matthew Grand. I'm your host, Coach B. And so what I like to do is just read a chapter per episode of this really insightful book. It's just a tool, as we all know. Parenting is not a one size fits all. There's no book or manual that's going to turn anyone into the perfect parent. But this is focused on anger management. This is focused on emotional regulation as a parent, taking care of your own stuff so that you can be a better parent moving forward. So before we get into the read of chapter 4, this might be 2 episodes because I notice chapter 4 is kind of a lot of text. But there's some scenarios I want you to just think about, right? And these are some like real life scenarios. So scenario 1, just think, how would you feel if you were asked a question in class or a staff meeting that you should have known the answer to but didn't? Take a moment and just reflect on these. I'm going to read off 8 more scenarios that could potentially have happened or will happen or you have lived experience with already in your life. How would you feel if you saw a boyfriend / girlfriend partner with his, her, or their arm around someone you didn't know? Think about that one. How does that make you feel? Also, if you found out a coworker who works half as hard as you, but is an old friend of the boss, got a promotion instead of you. Think about that, especially if you believe you deserve the promotion. Okay, next one. How would you feel if the cashier at the grocery store gave you less change than you should have gotten, insisting you gave him a $5 bill when you actually gave him a $20 bill? You know, what kind of activating triggers are you going to feel in that scenario? Next, how would you feel if you were voted Employee of the Month? Right? How would you feel if 2 friends who you introduced went out to dinner in your neighborhood last night and didn't invite you? Okay, next one. How would you feel if you tripped and fell in a restaurant as you were waving hello to your date? If suddenly, my bad. How would you feel if suddenly a news reporter thrust a microphone in your face, said you on live TV, and asked you what you thought about the latest news issue? Last but not least, how would you feel if you went into an expensive store to browse and on the way out the security guard stopped you and asked to check your bags? Now, I introduced these scenarios because as parents, any of these scenarios could take place prior to reunification with your kids for the day. You know, they could have been at school, you were at work. Say one or more of these scenarios took place throughout your day, and then you're sitting on these big emotions or you haven't dealt with it, but you had feelings with each of these scenarios. And then you come home and your kid is going on and off about a thing that happened at school. You're already frustrated. You know, these things happen. So just wanted you to think about that. It really is about working on our stuff when it comes to anger management for parents. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into chapter 4. And, you know, I don't know Matthew Grand, and I really just like the book. I don't even know if this is going to help them or not. And I'm all about promotion. So get the book. I do recommend buying the book. That way you can follow along and you can have this tool for yourself. It's a really valuable tool. Or you could just listen to me read the chapters. But yeah, I would honestly get this book. It's really good. Okay, chapter 4, Common Dilemmas Navigating the Gray Spaces of Parenting. Zig Ziglar is quoted in this book saying, "The best way to raise positive children in a negative world is to have positive parents who love them unconditionally and serve as an example. Parenting is indeed a thrilling journey, full of various experiencing, exhilarating highs and lows, unexpected twists and turns, and times of immense joy and frustration. During this journey, it's natural to encounter occasional hiccups. These could be instances where we react to our children's misbehavior in ways that do not align with our values, or when we grapple with achieving a balanced work life harmony. The challenges can significantly impact our children's development and our own emotional wellness. However, these difficulties are invaluable opportunities for learning personal growth and making more thoughtful decisions for our family and ourselves. In this chapter, we will explore the complexities of raising our little ones and discuss common parenting dilemmas. The potential for self reflection and constant learning is immense. By critically examining our actions, seeking new perspectives, and adopting fresh strategies, we can consistently evolve as parents. This enables us to provide the nurturing love, guidance, and support our children's need to thrive. While navigating the course of parenting, it's essential to meet challenges and uncertainties with an open mind. Embracing an optimistic and inquisitive mindset allows you to shift from a persisting state of frustration to a proactive problem solver. By adopting this outlook, you can steadily surmount the hurdles that you can come across in daily life, fostering a rewarding and harmonious parent child relationship. So, the next section is follows parenting pitfalls, common mistakes to avoid. Breendale, 2018, highlights that parents can often make errors that could leave lasting impacts on their children's development and well being. Let's examine some of these mistakes and discuss ways to sidestep them. Mistake number 1, equating your child's anger with adult anger. It's not uncommon to fall in the trap of viewing a child's anger through the lens of an adult's experience. However, this is a significant misunderstanding. While an adult's anger is frequently a result of frustration or annoyance, a child's anger can express various emotions such as fear, embarrassment, or insecurity. If these core emotions are not identified and addressed, the child's anger could potentially escalate. When your child displays anger, it's essential to realize it's their method of communicating their emotional state. Addressing the root cause of their anger helps them feel recognized, validated, and understood. For example, if fear triggers your child's anger, they may need comfort and reassurance. If they feel shame, they may need uplifting words and support. It's crucial to remember that children are still developing their emotional intelligence and finding ways to handle their emotions. By responding to their anger with empathy and understanding, you can assist your child in managing their emotions and contribute to their healthy emotional development. Therefore, avoid interpreting your child's anger as you would an adult. Instead, make an extra effort to understand their emotions and offer the necessary support for them to grow. Your child will appreciate it. And I'm going to add again my philosophy of AC, right? Cool the child down with authentic curiosity. Like Matthew Grand is saying in this book, get curious about what the core emotion is, what the core emotion that they're not used to navigating is. And then once you figure that out, it's also cooling you down because now you're in an inquisitive state of mind. You're not thinking about being angry or reacting angrily. You're thinking about solving something significant for your child, which essentially should make you feel good. Okay, mistake number 2, overemphasizing the tough love approach. As parents, the primary focus often lies in enforcing discipline and promoting good behavior. While this is indeed a vital part of raising responsible and respectable individuals, It's equally important not to neglect the significance of emotional validation. Children have a complex emotional world they're learning to navigate. And what they seem like misbehavior could be an emotional outburst they don't yet know how to handle effectively. By rushing to discipline and reprimand, you might unintentionally dismiss your child's emotions, leading to feelings of invalidation and making them feel their emotions are unimportant. Side note, this can also lead to resentment in the child. It's crucial to recognize that while the behavior may be unacceptable, the emotions behind it are valid. Side note, interjection, Coach B. With my own kids, I often tell them, like, my 7-year old likes to hit and get angry, and this is how he reacts. And I firmly, assertively tell him, like, hey, it's okay to be mad, but how you express your anger, hitting your sister, or yelling at your mom, or yelling back at me, that's what's not okay. So if you're angry, if you're embarrassed, if you're hurt because your friend said whatever, that's totally normal. But doing things to hurt somebody else is not going to go far in life, right? Back to the book. Instead of solely focusing on the negative behavior, consider your child's emotional state. Understand their feelings, validate them, and teach them productive ways to express these emotions. This approach doesn't suggest ignoring misbehavior, but rather it's about guiding your child to better navigate their emotion, which in turn can improve their actions. Side note, this is just misdirection. If they're headed down a road of what we label as misbehavior, especially if it's detrimental to someone else's safety, right, their sibling, then just misdirect. Give them a different outlet, give them an alternative. And as parents, it's our job to provide alternatives. By confirming and accepting your child's emotions, you enhance their emotional awareness, empathy, and self control skills. Not only does this help them grow into emotionally intelligent adults, but it also strengthens your relationship with them. So, while tough love might seem effective, remember it can cause more harm than good, and there are more constructive ways to raise confident children. Mistake number 3: succumbing to the temptation of satisfying your child's every desire. Yeah, um, I know a couple of parents that could maybe want to listen to this one. It's only natural for parents to want to make their children happy and to avoid conflict. However, consistently letting your child have their way can lead to negative consequences. Side note, this is very important exclusively for uh, members of the that part parenting. So, parenting after recovery and reunification tools, right? This is a key component because there's missing context in this book that will apply exclusively to someone who had lost their kids. So a lot of that wanting to adhere to your child's every need comes from the guilt of having lost them in the first place, of having to, you know, have them in foster care or with other family members, and then they're coming back to the home, and you're wanting to reestablish as quickly as possible the relationship that you felt you had prior to when they were gone, whether that was 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. I've seen cases that were longer where the kid was out of the home and then reestablished, through a reunification process. So this is really important for that because there's that extra component of this is being motivated by guilt. Like you want to give your kid more because part of it is you're feeling guilty that now that they're back, whatever trauma they had dealt with prior to coming home is your fault. And with that is going to come a little bit more pressure to cater to all of their needs, whims, and desires and ignore certain things that you wouldn't naturally ignore, right? So back to the book. Failing to establish boundaries and consequences for your child's actions can impede their ability to express their emotions healthily and positively. When dealing with angry outbursts, it's crucial to communicate with your child and make sure they understand that their actions have consequences. This can be done through gentle but firm reminders about appropriate behavior and setting clear boundaries. For example, if your child throws a tantrum, try this 5-step process to handle the situation. All right, Matthew Grant, let's see what process you got. Step 1: Maintain composure. Side note, I agree. Always remain firm and grounded, right? By staying calm, you serve as a role model for your child. They learn how to regulate their emotions by observing your behavior, so it's crucial to demonstrate the composure you desire from them. As they mature, they will witness your composed demeanor on numerous occasions and gradually develop the same ability. Yes. Step two, acknowledge their feelings. Validate your child's emotions by acknowledging their feelings, even if you disagree with their behavior. You can say, I understand you're upset, but throwing things is not okay. Step three, set boundaries. Clearly communicate what behaviors are unacceptable and set appropriate consequences. For example, you can say, we don't throw things in the store. If you continue to throw things, we'll leave. Side note, follow through. Do not set a clear boundary like this and then not leave. That's just from me to you. He didn't put that in the book. Step four, promote open dialogue. As a guardian, you can foster your child's emotional growth by leading by example and encouraging them to share their feelings and needs healthily. Engage them in discussion, pose open ended questions, and actively listen to their responses. By offering your focus and exhibiting genuine curiosity, you can avert tantrums and assist them in learning to articulate themselves more effectively. Consistent communication allows you to understand your child's thoughts and emotions better, helping them acquire critical skills for managing their feelings. Side note with this step, I would add to this by saying, have these conversations in moments of calm. Try not to engage in a heightened child state, thinking that engaging them in the conversation is going to do all of the things. AC applies with being curious, asking them really what's going on, how they feel, right? That is a good way to open dialogue, but also have dialogue with them about their emotions and about things like give them the scenarios like I started this episode with, give them random scenarios with their friends and ask them, hey, how would you feel if when you're calm and you're not in a heightened activated state, it could be a lot easier to decide and find out where your child's coming from. As a guardian, okay, so that's promote open dialogue. Step five, timely gratification and alternate expression of emotions. After discerning your child's wants, identify an appropriate moment and place to fulfill their wishes. Nonetheless, it's crucial to reward them following an outburst or misconduct. Did I read that right? Oh, it's crucial not to reward them following an outburst or misconduct. Educate your child about other ways to vent their emotions, such as deep breathing and verbalizing their feelings. By teaching your child about wholesome emotional expression and establishing repercussions for misbehavior, you build a positive and nurturing atmosphere for their growth. Your child will learn to understand their emotions and how to express them productively, leading to more meaningful relationships and improved communication skills. Okay, so that's the 5 step process outlined by Matthew Grant in this book. Next comes mistake number 4, attempting to pacify with gifts. And again, side note before I read this next mistake, for those of you that have gone through the child care services and reunification process, be very mindful of the intent with your gifts. Like, are you pacifying with gifts? Are you pacifying through the filter of guilt because they're expressing anger for having been in foster care or not living with you, etc.? So think about that and give yourself some grace. Forgive yourself and focus on the fact that they're home now and move forward with this type of positive parenting and try to avoid parenting through guilt. Okay, mistake number 4. Do you frequently calm your upset child with iPads, toys, or food? If you do, you may unknowingly be in the habit of pacifying your child with rewards. Although this seems like such an easy and great solution, it inadvertently suggests to the child that they can use their anger to their advantage without teaching them how to express their emotions healthily. Consider this. Imagine a colleague at your workplace who frequently resorts to raising their voice and creating discord because they can't get what they want. Now, would your manager reward such behavior with a pay raise or promotion to pacify them? Most likely not. So, why should the rules be any different when it comes to your child? At this point, you may be asking, how can we compare a grown adult's behavior to that of a child? It's a fair question, but let's delve deeper into the role of parenting to address it. Parenting is, at its heart, the process of raising a child. The term raising signifies lifting or elevating to a higher position or level. This process isn't merely physical, but also intellectual, emotional, and moral. Your mission as a parent is to shape the character and abilities of your child, encouraging growth and development in all aspects of their life. When your child exhibits inappropriate behavior, it's easy to resort to providing immediate gratification to quell their upset. However, if we respond to outbursts or tantrums by granting their every desire, we cease to fulfill our roles as effective parents. Why is that? Because raising a child implies setting boundaries and providing guidance. It means teaching them to manage their emotions and understand the consequences of their actions. It's about helping them differentiate between wants and needs and instilling a sense of patience and perseverance. So, when we give in to their every demand, we're not lifting them to a higher level, but instead, we're allowing them to stay stagnant. We're telling them that their shouting louder gets them what they want faster, a life lesson that doesn't translate well into the adult world. Rather than rewarding your child in the face of a tantrum, promote good behavior by maintaining open and honest communication and setting clear outcomes for their actions. For instance, if your child throws a fit at the supermarket, resist the urge to buy them candy to quiet them. Instead, calmly explain the situation and set a repercussion for their behavior, like going home to discuss their behavior in public. This approach equips them with an essential lesson about managing emotions and being accountable, showing them that a moment's peace is not worth compromising long term emotional well being. Okay, Matthew Grand, I agree. Mistake number 5, mishandling personal anger. It's critical as a parent to set a good example by handling your anger effectively. It's easy to become exasperated and snap when your child acts out. However, reacting harshly when your child requires understanding or motivation can worsen the situation and provoke further disruptive behavior. Avoid losing your temper. Take a deep breath, pause, and contemplate the root of your child's misbehavior. Suppose your child accidentally spills juice on the carpet and your immediate response is to yell at them. Rather than getting angry, try to comprehend the situation. Perhaps they were trying to serve themselves a drink and things got out of hand. Instead of getting mad, guide their behavior positively and help them clean the mess. This approach averts escalation and demonstrates effective anger and frustration management to your child. Preventing angry outbursts from escalating begins with you. Effectively managing your anger allows you to address your child's misconduct in a calm, supportive, and productive manner. It sets an example for them of how to react and behave in similar situations. Conversely, if you fail to set a positive example and instead do escalate things by screaming and resorting to anger, your child may imitate this behavior, resulting in an entire household filled with anger or even the slightest of things. Mistake number 6, valuing happiness over essential needs. Wanting your child to be happy is instinctual, but disruptive behavior is often the indication of the deeper needs they're trying to express. Distraction with gifts, sweets, or enjoyable activities may provide momentary relief, but it won't address the real issue. To establish a strong, lasting bond with your child, it's vital to discover and address these underlying needs. For example, if your child exhibits disruptive behavior or shows anger, it might be a sign they're feeling stressed or overwhelmed. Rather than trying to cheer them up with a new toy, invest the time to talk to them to understand the source of their stress. Maybe they're overwhelmed with schoolwork or they're feeling excluded from social events. By identifying and addressing the root of their problem, you can help them find solutions building resilience instead of simply masking their issues with temporary joy and satisfaction. This lesson will guide them to prioritize necessity over desire, a key trait found in successful individuals. Mistake number 6, excessive criticism. Side note, I find this to be very hard even as an adult to live with somebody who I believe has excessive criticism over everything. As a parent, handling a misbehaving child can be frustrating, but resorting to extreme criticism isn't the answer. This approach can make your child feel perpetually inadequate, leading to a cycle of negative behavior and strained relationships. Rather than criticizing or trying pray Rather than criticizing, try praising them for what they do good and help your child with what they need to work on. Remember, your words significantly shape your child's self-perception and behavior, making the difference between fostering a confident, happy child and an anxious, insecure one. Side note, words hold power, significant power, especially over our children. Even as adults, words can sway your very mood if you let them. If you do not have the skills and the emotional intelligence and the tools to combat taking people's words personally and owning them to create an internal narrative that somebody can say something to you about how rude you are or how whatever you are, then 2, 3 days later you're thinking about that and it's eating away at you like cancer. So just imagine a child who hasn't been taught any of those skills when you have a hard time as an adult handling somebody saying something to you that touches you and has you thinking about it for days, weeks, months, even, right? Okay, back to the book. Consider a scenario where your child is struggling with their homework. Instead of resorting to statements like, "You're so lazy, you never get your work done on time," which can be discouraging, opt for a more constructive approach. Take a seat beside your child and offer to work through the assignment together. By doing this, you provide them with not just practical help, but also the emotional support they need to push through the challenge. This approach reinforces their self confidence and the belief that they can overcome obstacles. During this collaborative exercise, provide encouragement. Praise their effort rather than just the outcome. This, this will help your child understand that the process is as important as the result, cultivating resilience and a willingness to try, even when things seem hard. By guiding them in this manner, you are nurturing a growth mindset in your child. This mindset encourages them to see challenges as opportunities for growth rather than threats. They begin to understand that it's okay to make mistakes as long as they learn from them and continue the progress. This type of approach demonstrates that you value their effort and are there to support them. This not only promotes a positive behavior pattern, but also strengthens your bond with your child, enhancing their emotional security. It's through such practical, positive interactions that you can effectively influence your child's behavior and mindset. Mistake number 8, negative labeling. Experiencing moments of frustration and anger when children misbehave is a common part of parenting, but it's essential to steer clear of the trap of negative labeling, where we tag our kids with terms such as bad, naughty, or misbehaving when they exhibit challenging behavior. Such language can damage the parent child bond and potentially impact the child's future relationships. For example, imagine a child repeatedly hearing their parents say, "You're such a troublemaker," each time they act out. The child may internalize these negative labels and view themselves as a troublemaker, leading to low self esteem and a negative self concept. Side note, I remember being labeled this, and not necessarily by my parent, by teachers, by adults, aunties, uncles, when you're told you're a certain thing or you're a certain way, when you have these labels, like, you're a little angry kid, you're so bad, like you a little hoodlum, you know, you internalize these things to the point of ownership. And then in my case, I remember there was a certain point in my childhood where I embraced these labels to a point of pride. And so then I began to idolize my own negative behavior and consider them accolades, right? And that led down a long journey of incarceration and judicial entanglements that I'm still currently dealing with in the form of federal probation. So, mind you, I had a long journey to get where I am today. Some of those could have been underlying labels that were externally given in a narrative that was not mine, but I made mine. So think about that too. Okay, back to the book. Instead of resorting to negative labeling, address a specific behavior needing alteration and use language focused on rectifying the action, not the child. Saying your action was inappropriate, but I believe you can make a better choice next time is a more constructive approach. This method helps the child understand that it's their behavior being addressed, not their personal identity. Side note, I have similar philosophy when it comes to, labeling people addicts, or alcoholics, or angry people, right? It's a behavior, it's an experience. The behavior is usually a symptom of something else. It is not the ownership of an identity that is going to be most helpful in those situations. It's providing tools and self advocacy. Okay, back to the book. Mistake number 9, shunning. In moments of exasperation, parents may impulsively resort to harsh tactics like ostracizing the child from family activities like dinner or movie night as a form of punishment. But this approach is harmful and communicates to the child that they are not valued or loved. Consider how it feels to be excluded from significant events by someone important to you. Children need their parents' attention and affection. Alienation aggravates the situation and inflicts emotional damage. Instead of these harmful tactics, employ positive and constructive ways to address misconduct and promote good behavior. Maintain open and honest communication, set clear, attainable boundaries, and recognize good behavior. For example, if your child acts up in school, engage in a frank conversation with them instead of isolating them from dinner. Hear their concerns and collaboratively find a solution. Side note to that one, I remember times where I didn't clean my room and the consequence was, okay, well, you're not going to your all-star football game, as an example. Now, something like that, to me, as a parent, when I later became a parent, I took on the philosophy of like as close to a natural consequence as I possibly could when it came to like raising my kids. So it's like my example in that space is my kid, I hear him throw his controller because he's playing Fortnite and he breaks his controller. Now, his mom at the time would went in the room and yelled and get, you know, activated to high levels and talk about the destruction of things and blase blase. My approach was basically, well, look at that. I understand you're frustrated. I've done that before too when I was growing up. I've thrown controllers. But check it out. Now, your controller doesn't work properly and you don't have the money to buy another one. So you should probably think about that. Very simple. The natural consequence is now he's got to figure out ways to do chores to earn enough money to buy a controller so that he can continue to play a game. Because in the moment of frustration, it doesn't mean he hates the game. It just means he was very, very angry and unemotionally regulated. And so trying to match the consequence with the behavior is my piece of advice to you, right? So back to Matthew Grant's book. Mistake number 10, empty threats. Parents often resort to threats, empty or real, out of frustration while dealing with unruly children. But such threats can be harmful to a child's emotional well being and future behavior. Child psychologists suggest that threats can be as emotionally damaging as physical harm, leading children to ignore the frightening words and parents' voice. This approach results in superficial obedience, with the child likely reverting to misbehavior once the threat passes. Consider a scenario where a parent repeatedly threatens to punish but never actually follows through. Over time, the child may perceive these threats as meaningless and dismiss them, leading to a cycle of immunity to parental guidance for behavior change. Hmm. We should strive to find more positive and effective ways to communicate with our children, such as open and honest communication, setting clear and attainable boundaries, and rewarding good behavior. These strategies not only improve the parent-child relationship, but also foster the child's self-esteem and overall well-being. Side note, I've had my daughter call me out on, oh, are you gonna just take my whatever? It's like it gets to the point where, like Matthew Grant is alluding to in this book, they start to like you're a joke at that point. Like, oh, really? You're gonna take something from me? Or my daughter's sassy. She's even offered to give it as soon as she knew she was about to get in trouble, right? So I had to change strategies sometimes in the moment to not go into being angry or taking that personal. Be like, okay, challenge accepted. How can I navigate this to where she doesn't know what's coming, but is still effective in teaching the appropriate lesson that you want learned? Mistake number 11, spanking. The age old question of spanking, a method of discipline common among parents that is not without its controversies. Some argue that it can immediately curb misbehavior, grabbing the child's attention quickly and may even short term, especially when the child is about to engage in dangerous behavior. However, parents must understand that there is a fine line between discipline and abuse. Physical punishment should never be given when angry or out of control, as it could harm the child physically, mentally, and emotionally. For example, spanking can lead a child to feel unheard, angry, and resentful. It may cause emotional disconnection or provoke the child to direct their anger inwards or towards others, leading to more problems down the line. In most situations, rather than resorting to this damaging form of discipline, adopt alternative, positive, and effective methods to address children's misbehavior. Say a child throws a tantrum in a supermarket. Instead of resorting to spanking, the parent could try to understand the root cause of the tantrum and address the child's needs, such as taking a break from shopping, providing a snack, or spending quality time with the child. Addressing the root issue not only calms the child, but also strengthens the parent child bond and fosters a healthier relationship. Now, side note before I move on to reactive responses, mistake number 12. I come from the era where we're spanking, and I come from the culture where that was the norm, or we're like afraid of our parents, because um, we would get our asses whooped for doing certain things. And our generation, that was the norm. Society was okay with it. I actually went to elementary in New York where the teachers were allowed to administer corporal punishment. Not to say that it was right or wrong in that era, but I do know that if you spank or if you use the might is right philosophy in your parenting, because essentially that's what it means. I'm bigger than you, I'm stronger than you, and because of that, I can cause damage to you. You have to do what I say. That approach teaches that approach. So when you have young boys coming up and they've learned that through being parented that way, perhaps some of that is the underlying reason why they hit women or why they're constantly getting into fights on the playground, because they have been taught that if you want someone to do what you want, if you're stronger than them and exert that strength in a physical way, then that is how the world works because they learned it in their own home. That's just my piece on that. So, mistake number 12, reactive responses. It's simple for us to react impulsively when our children's behaviors challenge us. However, taking a pause and responding thoughtfully, AC, that's on me. Matthew didn't write that. Um, Thoughtfully can lead to a more positive outcome. Consider a common issue many parents face: regular interruptions during conversations. Ooh, this can be a frustrating experience, especially for parents who are trying to have a conversation with another adult. It's important to avoid reacting with frustration immediately and instead pause, try to understand what your child needs at that moment, and address their behavior more effectively and positively. One method to manage this behavior is to have a brief discussion with your child before an important conversation with another adult. You can set expectations, offer them an alternative activity during your conversation, and assure them of your undivided attention afterwards. This way, You not only manage their interruptions, but also teach them the importance of respecting conversations. Remember, your child might simply seek attention and may need help understanding social norms surrounding interruptions. Proactively set clear boundaries for interruptions. Explain their importance and reward good listening behavior. By understanding your child's needs and addressing their behavior positively, you can improve your child's behavior and, in turn, diffuse angry outbursts or frustration that would normally arise. That's fair enough. Side note, in peer counseling, the term we use is orient, right? Orienting someone is explaining the entire process leading up to a thing. So that's very clear, very understood what you expect, what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, why it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and then what to expect after it happens, right? So orient your child to a business, to an important business conversation or meeting. Like for me, I work from home in the office part time, and my kids are here because that is the essential way we are navigating childcare expenses. Um, and my office door doesn't have a lock, so there's times where I'm in here on a Zoom and the kid comes in and has a thing, and I have to hurry up and pause the Zoom and address that. A lot of times, it's just simple reminding of the orientation process. Hey, remember we talked about this. I'm in a meeting. What does that mean? So asking them sometimes to revisit or tell you from their words what they remember or recall about the orienting to this business call, for me, has worked really effectively because sometimes I'm like, hey, can you tell me what we talked about before I came in here on this business call? A lot of times that it's just a simple close the door because they don't even want to repeat it because they know they understood it and they know they understood it. And it doesn't even have any anger involved, or whatever. It's just a matter of fact. Hey, remember we talked about this? Okay, can you explain to me what we talked about? Do you remember? Is it an emergency? And if it isn't, they're gonna leave or we're gonna have that conversation. But that also demonstrates the ability to do that in the future for their own selves. Man, these allergies get me. Okay, mistake number 13. Children are sensitive to your energy and emotions. So mistake number 13 is uncontrolled emotions. Children are sensitive to your energy and emotions. If you're angry, anxious, or stressed, it can significantly affect your child's mood and behavior. It's essential to keep your emotions in check, especially in high stress situations. One practical solution is to take quick mini moments of self care before interacting with your child, such as deep breathing, meditation, or physical activity. It's also helpful to take breaks when necessary, step away from the situation, and return to it with a clear mind. So, side note, I have a peer, kind of a co-trainer, someone else who also trains, and something that she offered that she does that I thought was really cool is whenever she gets home from work and she like pulls in the driveway, she listens to three songs in their entirety, and that is the way that she decompresses and kind of gets ready to go into the house and separating whatever was out, putting that buffer of self-care in just a few moments. Three songs, it could be anywhere from 6 to 10 minutes, right? Enjoying those songs, singing them along or whatever, and then going into the house with that new mood and that different mode of like separating the two worlds, right? Okay, mistake number 14, inconsistent decision making. A harmonious household requires consistency in decision making and discipline methods from both parents. Clear and consistent guidelines benefit children as they make it easier for them to understand what is expected of them and feel secure within set boundaries. Inconsistent parenting can lead to confusion and mixed signals. And side note, they will try to play one against the other if you aren't on top and have a united front with your rules and situations. Back to the book. For example, imagine a situation where a child has broken a rule. If one parent disciplines them but the other overlooks it, the child may feel uncertain about the expectations and start testing boundaries, leading to disagreements between parents. To avoid this, both parents need to have open and honest communication with each other and establish a standard set of guidelines for discipline. This can include discussing consequences for misbehavior and sticking to a consistent routine for enforcing rules. Once both parents can agree on a set of guidelines and rules, you will be amazed at how much more peaceful and loving your home will become. You will notice how much easier it is to tackle problems that come up bringing your family closer and working in a more harmonious spirit. So that is all the mistakes. So now we're moving on to the next section of this book, page 83. The many faces of parenting. I know how challenging it can be to manage anger when faced with tough situations with your children. But by exploring different parenting styles, we can gain a fresh perspective and develop new ways to handle our emotions. Each parenting style offers unique challenges and rewards, and by fine tuning what works for us, we can build our own approach tailored to our family's needs. Additionally, it's important to identify and steer clear of styles that can be harmful or ineffective. It's perfectly fine if you discover that you've unknowingly adopted elements of these flawed parenting styles. We all make mistakes and have opportunities to learn and improve. Approach this process with an open mind, allowing yourself the time to reflect on what resonates with you and what doesn't in various styles of parenting. Consider which approaches align with your values and aspirations, enabling you to cultivate a nurturing home environment that fosters your children's growth and development. Remember, it's a journey of continuous learning and growth, and embracing new approaches can lead to positive transformation in your parenting journey. By fine tuning your parenting style, you can not only minimize angry outbursts, but also enhance your child's overall well being and set them on a path toward a brighter future. When you adopt a nurturing and supportive approach rooted in empathy and understanding, you create an environment where your child feels safe and valued. This sense of security and emotional connection significantly reduces the likelihood of angry outbursts and promotes healthy emotional expression. Taylor, 2021, has beautifully outlined several common parenting styles, each with unique approaches and benefits. Okay, parenting style number one, according to Taylor, authoritarian parenting. One of the most commonly recognized parenting styles is authoritarian parenting. As the name suggests, this approach focuses on strict obedience, clear boundaries, and a top down structure. Parents who adopt this style enforce discipline through strict rules and punishments, often physical in nature. This approach can be effective in maintaining order, but it can also lack emotional warmth and lead to a lack of connection between the parent and child. Children raised in authoritarian households may struggle with discipline and emotional regulation and may even adopt this style when they become parents. While an authoritarian parenting style can result in well behaved children, it's important to balance obedience with emotional warmth and connection. Research shows that children who feel connected to their parents are more likely to thrive and develop healthy relationships in the future. A practical example of this balance can be seen in a household where the parents set clear boundaries while also taking the time to have open and honest conversations with their children. In every decision they make, parents can help their children learn to respect authority while feeling secure and loved. Neglectful or uninvolved parenting is the next parenting style. Parenting has a profound impact on the lives of children. However, not all parenting styles are equal, and some can even be harmful. Neglectful or uninvolved parenting is one such style, also known as lazy parenting, which is characterized by an absence of attention and involvement from parents, leaving children to fend for themselves. Consequently, children raised in this environment often experience excessive screen time and limited family interaction. While it's easy to criticize this style of parenting, it's important to remember that the reasons for its existence are often rooted in deeper underlying problems such as untreated mental health issues, addiction, or alcoholism. When children are neglected, they grow up feeling unloved and unimportant, which can lead to low self esteem and difficulties in forming healthy relationships as they get older. The long term effects of neglectful parenting can be far reaching, including poor communication skills, low motivation, and even mental and emotional disorders. There's a bit more, but I'm going to move on to the bulk of permissive or indulgent parenting. The next one. Permissive parenting is defined by parents who are loving and nurturing but lack the necessary boundaries and expectations that children need to thrive. Consider a child who has never been told no, always given what they want, and never experienced any consequences for their actions. Such a child may struggle to differentiate between their parent and friend and may not learn right from wrong. They may also become overly entitled and expect to always have their way, leading to a lack of structure. An example of permissive parenting can be seen in a family where a child regularly plays video games late, even though it interferes with their sleep and school performance. The parents may ask them to turn off the game and to go to sleep, but won't go further if they see their child not comply. Avoiding any conflict, they simply give in, thus allowing their children to stay up as late as they want without setting any consequences. This lack of structure and discipline can have long term effects on the child's ability to make responsible decisions as they grow older. While our love and affection are important, it's equally crucial to set clear boundaries and expectations of our children. A healthy balance between love and discipline can help our children grow into confident, responsible, independent individuals who can navigate the world with ease. Dismissive parenting. This parenting style is characterized by ignoring or dismissing a child's emotions, which can cause them to believe that their feelings don't matter. This lack of validation can have a profound impact on a child's self awareness and emotional intelligence, and can lead to a distrust of emotions in general. For instance, when a child expresses disappointment about not getting a new toy or something from the store, a dismissive parent may brush it off with the remark like, "That's not what I came here for. Who cares about toys? You already have three. Stop being so greedy." While the parent may have a point and is rationalizing like an adult, the child may not understand the face value of what is being said and may perceive this type of dismissive behavior as hurtful. They may feel that their emotions are not worth acknowledging. There's a little bit more of that, but I want to keep this as close to an hour as possible. So, disapproving parent is the next one. The way we interact with our children can have a significant impact on their development and self esteem. Our choice of parenting style can shape our children's personality, habits, and even their future relationships. It's crucial to strike a balance between structure and independence while prioritizing emotional support and understanding for our children's well being. However, one of the parenting styles to avoid is the disapproving parent. Disapproving parents take it a step further than dismissive parents by not only ignoring or dismissing their children's emotions, but also criticizing and judging them. This can lead to emotional numbness and a lack of self awareness as children learn to ignore or criticize their own feelings. Emotional expression is discouraged and seen as weak, and children may be told to stop overreacting or stop whining. This controlling, negative, and judgmental approach can have long lasting effects on the child's mental health and self esteem. The next one, there's still some more of that, is authoritative parenting. If you're wondering which parenting style is best for promoting independence and fostering a culture of learning from mistakes, look no further than authoritative parenting. It's widely recognized as the ideal approach by experts thanks to its ability to strike a balance between structure and allowing children the space to grow and develop. Authoritative parenting understands that their role is to guide, not control, their children as they navigate the world. They communicate openly, empathetically, listening to their children's perspectives and helping them understand right from wrong. This type of parenting fosters healthy relationships and creates an environment that is both supportive and challenging, encouraging children to grow and develop into confident and capable individuals. An example of authoritative parenting in action is a parent who sets clear boundaries and consequences for misbehavior, but also takes the time to listen to their child's side of the story and understand their perspective. This type of parent might also be involved in their children's interests and hobbies, encouraging their passions and helping them develop a strong sense of self. With its focus on communication and understanding, authoritative parenting is the perfect choice for parents who want to raise happy and well rounded children. Whether you're just starting out on your parenting journey or looking to make a change, I highly recommend adopting this parenting style. As you do, you will notice harmony and tranquility gradually replace arguments and frustrations. You will experience a newfound sense of peace within your household. Give it a try and witness firsthand the transformative difference it can make. Last section of this chapter 4 is discovering practical solution to common parenting challenges. Raising children is a roller coaster of emotions full of challenges that can sometimes leave you feeling angry and doubtful. But maintaining a peaceful and secure home is critical for your mental health and that of your child. Here are some tips that can help with real life situations. Tip number one is practice self reflection. Take a moment to reflect on why you're feeling angry. Side note, this is that AC, authentic curiosity starting internally. Identifying the root cause of your anger can help you manage and control your emotions. For instance, if you find yourself getting frustrated with your child's refusal to do their homework, take a step back and ask yourself if you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed about something else. Tip number two, find healthy coping mechanisms. To relieve stress, try engaging in activities such as exercise, mindfulness, or talking to a trusted friend. For example, if you find yourself feeling angry after a long day at work, take a walk outside, practice deep breathing, or call a friend to vent. Tip three, communicate effectively. When dealing with a difficult situation, it's crucial to communicate clearly and assertively rather than reacting in anger. For example, if your child is constantly arguing with their sibling, encourage open communication and active listening between them instead of getting angry. Teach them conflict resolution skills and provide them with tools to resolve disagreements in a positive manner. Tip, lead by example. Children learn from the actions of their parents. By demonstrating healthy coping mechanisms and effective communication, parents can model positive behavior for their children. If your child misbehaves in public, remain calm and take them aside to address the behavior privately. Use this as an opportunity to teach your child about appropriate behavior and the consequences of their actions. The next tip, be open to learning. Parenting is a continuous journey of growth and learning. Be receptive to new ideas, approaches, and strategies to help you manage your emotions and be a better parent. Be open to learning to such an extent that you are willing to accept advice even from your children. You never know when your children may surprise you with their insights, leading to those valuable aha moments. He wrote light bulb moments. But in honor of my friend Coach Suggs, aha moments are key. Children have a truly unique perspective on the world, and they can often see things that we adults miss. So, raising kids is a journey that is often filled with trials, particularly when it comes to dealing with anger. This journey demands a good deal of introspection, open communication, and a dedication to continuous learning. Yet, with the right strategies and guidance, you can tackle typical parenting hurdles and cultivate a nurturing, positive environment of your children and, in turn, a more peaceful and loving environment at home. There is a little bit left in this book on 94 and 95. However, that is going to conclude chapter 4 of Anger Management for Parents with Coach B reading Matthew Grand's Anger Management for Parents. It's not the kids, it's you. And the last thing that I want to add as Coach B is we've often heard the term the golden rule. The golden rule is in regards to treating people the way you want to be treated, which is really, really great. It's a really good tool and it's a good kind of starting point. But the goal is also to evolve to what I learned within the last year to be the platinum rule. And the platinum rule is as follows: treat others the way they want to be treated. And think about your kids, right? My analogy that I usually use to hopefully make this point hit home is if I loan my car to a really good friend of mine and they tell me I'm going to treat it like it's mine. And the first thing that comes to my mind when they say that is, but you smoke cigarettes in cars and you drive fast and things like that. So naturally, I would want them to treat my car like it's mine. So that is kind of my analogy when I talk about the platinum rule is treat others how they want to be treated. And the only way to find out how somebody wants to be treated is through curiosity, asking questions and active listening, genuinely asking questions so that you can understand how they want to be treated. That is the platinum rule. And the golden rule is essentially a prerequisite to graduate towards treating people based on the platinum rule. But you have to get to know someone in order to treat them how they want to be treated. Stay tuned for chapter 5, the power of perspectives and communication. Thanks for joining me. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share with your friends.